The infamous accident on New Texas Giant at Six Flags Over Texas on July 19, 2013 has been described as inaccurately as this. In reality, the tragic accident could have been easily prevented. All sources linked in the description. On Friday, July 19, 2013, Rosa Esparza was visiting Six Flags Over Texas for the first time with family. Sometime later that day, she entered the line for New Texas Giant. Outside the ride, there was no test seat for larger guests to use to ensure they were able to ride. This is strange, as the manufacturer of the trains provided the park with a test seat when the ride opened in 2011. Around 6:30 p.m., she boarded Car 2, Row 1, unload side of the coaster. All RMC hybrid coasters are equipped with both hydraulic lap bars and seat sensors that detect if a seat is locked. Unlike other RMC coasters, though, New Texas Giant uses trains made by the German company Gerstlauer. According to Gerstlauer, their hybrid coaster restraints are secured by the use of redundant hydraulic cylinders, making them equivalent to the RMC trains found on other hybrids. Once Rosa boarded the train, she apparently pulled down her own lap bar. Her seat was then checked by the ride attendants. When one of the ride attendants was doing their final pre-dispatch visual walkback scan, she noticed that the lap bar was, quote, a little too high and not in the proper position. Six Flags does not use any industry standard ride operator training at Over Texas, but instead uses their own training. Going by Six Flags' own training, the correct thing to do would be to stop and assist the guests while rechecking their seats, or call over whoever is in charge of the ride at the time. This did not happen, and the associate cleared the train for dispatch, leading ultimately to Esparza's death. So what went wrong in this tragic accident, and what could have been done to prevent it? One thing that's often brought up is the seat sensors on this ride and others like it. These sensors prevent the train from being dispatched if a lap bar is not locked. These sensors are intended as a fail-safe, and not as the first way to tell if a seat is locked. Occasional failures of these sensors do happen. In fact, days before the accident, the sensor on Rosa's very seat was replaced, showing that these sensors were not 100% reliable. The issues with the reliability were most likely due to the ride being a first-of-its-kind ride, with it being the first RMC hybrid and the first RMC with Gerstlauer trains. Regardless of if the sensors were working or not, the people working on the ride platform are always responsible for ensuring that every guest is properly secured. Through my own experience as a ride operator, I have had situations where I decided a restraint was not properly secured, and I removed that guest from the seat. This is what any well-trained and well-disciplined ride crew would do. On this day, at New Texas Giant, this did not happen. Six Flags was also provided a test seat by Gerstlauer, but they did not place it outside the ride until after this accident. Six Flags also did not implement a very simple safety feature that had been standard at some of their competitors' parks since the early 2000s, seat belts. Seat belts can be used both as a way to tell if a guest is too large to ride and as a secondary failsafe. Only after this accident did Six Flags begin to standardize seat belts on their roller coasters. In the end, the ride crew is ultimately responsible for every person on the ride's safety. If an issue with the restraint is noticed when a train is moving, a well-trained crew would stop the train at the next possible spot. I have had to do this myself. The poor training and poor discipline of the New Texas Giant crew that day ultimately led to this accident. So to place blame, I would say about 90% on the ride crew and 10% on Six Flags as a company at that time. Since this accident, Six Flags and other parks have significantly stepped up safety measures integrated into their roller coasters. So what can you do? Well, love him or hate him, I think Rob Alvey said it best.
The only advice I can offer to someone is if you get in a roller coaster car, you pull the lap bar down, and you, for some reason, you just don't feel secure, or you have anxiety, common sense tells me just simply don't ride.
Thank you for watching this episode of What Really Happened. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. Stay tuned for the next episode sometime after October 27th.